So, you're very welcome to episode 3 of The Handshake, an episode that I entitle Connecting, Collaborating, and Co-Creating. I'm taking this opportunity to delve a little bit deeper into the concept of the handshake in real terms and how it manifests itself in the work of THC Consult, Total Human Capital Consultancy Limited. So let me share a screen with you now, and I'll take you through what it is exactly that we do here at THC Consult. So basically, I invite you as leaders in the workplace to lead with poise and to unlock potential around you. I offer you a one-stop guide to a thriving and optimistic workplace. Come with me and let me explain my mission and what we're about. I'm Ireland's only organisational psychologist with 30 years' experience across both business and educational leadership sectors. I am a business executive coach, a mediator, and a psychometric test user. I work with a variety of people in trying to share my mission, which is that of sharing my accumulated experience, ongoing learning, and wide-ranging expertise with a growing number of leaders, emergent leaders, entrepreneurs, workers, and individuals at every stage of the work span, right across the lifespan. So I seek to highlight the undeniable connection between the business sector and the education sector. They're inextricably linked, and that must be acknowledged. Industries that I cover: education, healthcare, finance, technology, engineering, non-profit, anything that has got to do with working in an organization. The array of work that we do here at THC Consult covers bespoke training, which I will go through with you in a moment, selection and assessment, leading, guiding personnel selection and assessment, right through to training, interviewing panels, and to sitting on interviewing panels and guiding the whole process. Executive coaching, unlocking potential in coaching leadership and accountability and productivity. Workplace mediation, being that person who comes in to set up a situation whereby two people who may be in disagreement, or two groups who are in disagreement, come together to air their views and hopefully come to a solution. Then psychometrics. I'm a registered test user 1 and 2 with the British Psychological Society. I'm also a multi-science analyst across behaviours, driving forces, competencies, emotional intelligence, and acumen, the whole science of axiology. And finally, I am a professional writer who helps people and organizations with presentations and with all sorts of case studies, etc. That is a flavor of what we do here at THC Consult. So, overview of the training offered. I believe that the personal, the professional, and the organizational are inextricably linked. You bring your whole self to the workplace, your values, your vision for your work life, your vision for life in general, and your whole mission merges with that of others in the workplace. Your purpose, your vision, your mission, your values, the mindset, whether you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, and your change orientation, for example. Taking that to the professional, linking it through your emotional intelligence. Are you a born leader or are you a follower? Delving into that whole notion of leadership styles, and what is required of the leader in the modern workplace. Also, that notion of teamwork, how you bring teams together, how you lead, and how you get the best from your team. Looking at the organizational, it is imperative that we get the fit right, the person job fit between the professional and the organizational. The organizational, of course, driven by that person job fit and getting it right, organizing within the organization and embracing all that that entails, and finally merging the vision, the mission, and that journey together with what you bring as a person to the workplace. Knowing me, understanding you is the catchphrase I use, because I argue that if you are at home with yourself and you're highly self-aware, you are far more likely to understand others and to work with empathy and all the other elements of emotional intelligence, which I teach through my training. Looking at the personal, there are key titles here that may appeal to you. So when I go into an organization, I offer a bespoke training, a training that meets the needs of that particular organization. So in the preliminary consultation, that whole journey is agreed before I start the design of the program. Here are key titles that I think you may be interested in. So the journey of self-discovery, routes to knowing your strengths, you're realizing your potential, weaving agile vision, aligning with your values and purpose. Unconscious bias, recognizing and reframing unconscious bias. Crafting mindset towards a better life. The role of emotional intelligence in driving success. Change, recognizing and confronting our fear of change through immunity to change mapping, for instance. Identifying what pushes your buttons, knowing your triggers and working around them. And the art of self-compassion. Very often we forget ourselves in the whole equation, and we are the last person who receives any sort of compassion from ourselves. Let's move on to the professional. So the shifting meaning of what it means to be a professional in today's world of work. Linking demands, resources, and engagement to leaders' level of stress and strain reported in the workplace. And emotional intelligence as the catalyst to effectiveness at work. And that idea that emotional intelligence and the growth and nurturing of emotional intelligence can begin at any stage in that work lifespan. So let's look at the teamwork. And is it an illusion or is it reality? The ingredients of effective teamwork. CPD, moving from benign PowerPoints to action mapping together, and the effectiveness of that interaction and getting involved in the mind mapping process. Owning the journey, celebrating success together, devising an effective team charter, which is ever so important in finding a middle ground in the workplace. What type of workplace would you like to work in? Understanding team formation and routes to optimizing teamwork. Routes to motivating your team. Establishing team function and approaches to improvement. Holding effective team meetings. Undertaking a talent audit as a route to heightening staff engagement. How many staffs are frustrated through not being given avenues to use their talents? That's a real question for you as a leader to ponder. Now, looking at staff relations and working together. Safe communication, as it were. Co-creating a great place to work is everyone's business. Now, I offer this in a series of 3 2-hour sessions. Effective communication and the leader's role in staff resilience, conflict management, and dignity at work. Another very, very important one, which has come to the fore, particularly with the hybrid work arrangements some organizations implement these days. Intergenerational learning as an untapped treasure, and how that working from home really interrupts that process of intergenerational learning. Relationship building, the currency to thrive. Conflict management, a local solution to a local problem. How can we get to the root of the problem locally without having to call in a third party to mediate? A matter of perception, avenues to minimizing stress in the workplace. What I may find stressful, you may not find stressful, but delving into that whole area. Turning the negative to positive in the toxic workplace. It starts with you. Everybody has their role to play in the workplace, and hopefully for the positive. Breaking the cycle of bullying in the workplace, embracing the healing journey. Another title I do, the psychology behind answering the hard questions with conviction and poise. GDPR and health and safety in the workplace, on site and when working from home remotely. A very, very important issue that I give extensive talks on. And cultivating staff well-being when working from home. However, leadership matters. So as an underlying force in a workplace, getting that leadership equation right is so important. So the Complete Leaders Toolkit, the top 5 characteristics of leadership with self-coaching guide provided as well. Balancing the yin and yang of leadership for heightened success, based on a paper I wrote for Brains magazine in 2023 as an award-winning writer for them. EQ, emotional intelligence for success, with a workbook, leadership training, whole staff training. It can be designed to your particular requirements. The senior leader, who takes care of me. Very often the leader gets lost in the whole equation and seems to be last to be looked after. Capital Quest, a course I've designed particularly for leaders, equipping the senior executive to optimize team potential. So it's literally coaching the leader to coach workers in the workplace. Leading from the front. Mission, driving vision, realism, grounding success. Staff well-being and the leader's role in staff resilience. Critical skills for future leaders. Leadership megatrends in the future. A course I completed with Copenhagen Institute of Future Studies. Very, very interesting twist on things. What modern day workers value most and expect from leaders. Time management towards productive leadership. Note in all of my titles, that notion of connecting, collaborating, and co-creating is evident. That notion of the handshake and how we achieve it. Now, Wired for Success, the health and well-being in the workplace. I believe that if the handshake is sincere and firm, and if people are highly self-aware, we are far more likely to have a healthy workplace to work in. So Wired for Success, knowing me, understanding you. Your health and well-being matters. Mindset matters. Standing tall as a professional, what does that require? Getting work-life integration right. Time management for heightened productivity. Focus for results. That whole notion of focus and how good are we at it? And going into the future, how distracted we've become in the workplace. My workspace, optimizing workspace ergonomics towards order and heightened productivity. These are just some of the titles that I offer and that I customize to the client's needs. Let's move on now to the organizational. Personnel selection and assessment, that's where it all starts. If we don't get that right, we are in for a lot of problems. So getting the person job fit right, how do we do it? Getting it right first time, panel training for behavioral interviews. The role of assessment centers as an aid to finding the right person for the role on offer, incorporating psychometrics as a tool in the process. The role of psychometrics in career progression and the hiring process. Impress and achieve interview success for newly qualified personnel and for those wishing to progress their careers. Strategic career progression planning. readiness to lead as a leader of leaders in the workplace, and what it means to be a professional in the modern day workspace. Let's now look at career progression planning. Readiness to lead is another title that I've delivered extensively on. Planning for middle management roles. The courage to lead in the age of disruption, a very interesting topic. Middle management, a hybrid role unpacked. Who takes care of me? Approaches to staff well-being explored. And then the middle management roles, 3-part series, 3 2-hour sessions delivered. On week 1, for instance, we look at embracing middle management roles, define middle leadership and implications for practice, and examining the role and reality of middle management from a leadership perspective. Then on week 2, we explain the psychology of organizing versus organization in the workplace. Look at staff relations, the psychological contract, people in groups and teams. Discussing planning for success. Examining approaches to motivation to enhance staff engagement. Now, I mentioned organizing within the organization, and that is an area that must be got right, and that handshake in that area must be got accurate in order to advance. Achieving multi-level agility between the personal, the professional, and the organizational at work. Strategic planning optimized. Strategic foresight from short-term firefighting to long-term stability. Ensuring effective meetings and different approaches to doing that. Turning the tide, effective performance management and performance appraisal delivered with the right language to get the right results. Inclusion, identifying and enacting your value and intentions. Navigating tricky, triggering situations with professionalism. Again, a hint of the mediation there. Undertaking a talent audit towards workplace engagement and motivation. How do I set about that? And how do I implement it once I've gathered my information? Leading effective conversations. Routes to navigating and rerouting. Approaches to engaging in productive dialogues. Training and educating for the future. Are we missing the point? Training and educating for self-sufficiency, adaptability, and resilience in a VUCA world. And finally, I come to strategic development planning. It's also offered as an on-site project to workplaces in crisis. Planning together with the long term in mind. Strategic foresight from short-term firefighting to long-term stability. And doing the talent audit towards workplace engagement and motivation. That is just a flavour of the type of training that we do here at THC Consult. The whole concept of the handshake is about finding connections. It's about negotiating. It's about being open to connecting with others. It's about getting the balance right between the 4 pillars of your life, your personal life, your work life, your social/community involvement, and your me time, your self-development. I argue it all starts with me. Heightening my own self-awareness, developing myself through different techniques of being a reflective practitioner, journaling, etc., towards being more effective and happy in the workplace. Remember, the radiance coming from the leader, the vision in action, is what creates the tone and sets the tone for a workplace. So that is a little of the background to the concept of the handshake. Next week, we will proceed with another interview this time with Porrick Berry from TTISI, and we will talk about the role of psychometrics and how it can be used to advantage in getting that person job fit right. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I look forward to hearing from you if you think any of these titles or any of the services I offer can be of benefit to you in your workplace. My number is 085 811 5811, or you connect in with me on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for listening.